Many of the materials we tie flies with are made up of a lot of small fibers, which give body and movement to the fly but can be difficult to control. A marabou feather is a good example. I'll start with laying this feather on the hook shank and simply tying it in. The fibers are allowed to go where they will. In this case, they are distributed pretty evenly around the hook shank, which will work fine for some patterns, but certainly not for all. An important part of consistently tying good flies is being able to control the materials you are tying with. You need to have good control over exactly where you tie material in and how long it is, and, in many cases, you need to have a clean, tight tie-in point, which will make a little more sense in a few seconds. Before I tie this feather in, I need to get these fibers bunched up. Stroking the fibers back and together is the beginning. You can see how I've thinned it out. From here, I'll pinch the fibers between my thumb and pointer finger in one hand, then pass them off to the other hand. Each time I pass the feather from one hand to the next, my fingers will be perpendicular to the last pinch. This will help to push the fibers together, so I end up with a tight, dense bundle of fibers. Once the feather is bunched together tightly, I can tie it in. Here I'm using what's called the pinch to hold the feather in place on the hook and place the thread exactly where I want it. This time you can see that the fibers are all directly on top of the hook. Here is a little better view of the pinch. I'm starting with the feather pinched tightly between the thumb and pointer finger of my left hand. I'm pushing my fingers down over the hook shank, pinching the hook shank tightly with the fibers above, now pushed down directly on top of the hook. I'm also pinching the thread wraps around the hook shank. Now I'm wrapping the thread around and up and sliding it back into the space between my pinched thumb and finger. Because I am pinching everything together tightly, I can make a loose loop of thread around and under the hook. As I pull the thread tight, you can see the loose loop draw down between my finger and thumb. It is tightening exactly where I want it, wrapping the marabou down to the hook shank. I'm going to do it one more time. Now I have two thread wraps directly over each other. I'll add a couple of locking wraps for good measure. Now that this marabou feather is firmly in place exactly where I want it, I can continue on with the rest of the fly.